Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jamaica Diaspora UK conference in Brunel University, UK. Actually, I've got a folder here which says 2006, the Diaspora Conference. I've been involved with this thing from even 2004. But hey, I've got Mr. Lawrence Jones.
Hey, Brother Sylvan, you all right?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, Lawrence Jones is the Regional Manager, JAMPRO European Regional Office, and he's going to be one of the key persons in the discussion where they're going to talk about promoting entrepreneurship and investing in Jamaica, strategies and best practice. Tell us about what you're going to do. You're going to bring in everything for Jamaica, engaging with the diaspora, Lawrence.
Yes, well, like we've been doing for many, many years. And in fact, right there on the panel, you have testimonial from diaspora entrepreneurs who have who JAMPRO has supported along the way. As you know, JAMPRO is the government of Jamaica, export promotions agency, and we also facilitate investment into the island. And from our office here in the Jamaican High Commission in London, we help Jamaican diaspora entrepreneurs to do just that. So whether you are a business that is seeking to buy goods from Jamaica, import them into the UK, hold them in your warehouses and distribute them to the grocery multiples, the cash and carries, or you're looking to wholesale them or retail them, we connect you with those manufacturers in Jamaica, whether it be food and drink, whether it be hair and beauty products, and we just try to make that connection as smooth as possible. In fact, we just had a couple of months ago, at the end of April, Expo Jamaica in Kingston, and several Jamaican diaspora business entrepreneurs
from the UK,
came down, and right there in JAMPRO's offices in Kingston, we scheduled all the meetings with the manufacturers, and they're bringing them back, bringing back those products.
So therefore, what we're talking about is that Jamaicans are awake and alive to the impact of the diaspora and forging that strong partnership at the same time.
And in particular, now that Jamaican food and drink and hair and beauty products have expanded beyond the Jamaican diaspora consumer market. You know, the average English person now knows what jerk is. Right? No,
and they're not a jerk.
And they're not a jerk. No, not at all. And certainly within the Black British hair and beauty sector, beyond Jamaican women buying our products, you know, there are African women, Asian women, and men who are now buying Jamaican-made beauty products from Jamaican black castor oil, for example. And other natural botanical products from Jamaica that, you know, my grandmother would have taught me about aloe and all of those kind of things. They're coming in.
So can I say that in Iceland you got patty, in Asda you got patty, everywhere you got patty. Now, of course, they're made here. But have you guys played a part in those companies? Oh, Mr. Consulate, one of the consulate in Birmingham.
Wade Lane, Cleone Foods.
So do you guys play a part in that process, even though it is not importing from Jamaica, but is here?
Oh no, but some of them do import the ingredients.
The ingredients,
Okay, so like the seasonings, for example, some of them do import the dry seasonings from Jamaica to give it that authentic taste. And so if there's an ingredient that they want from Jamaica, and this is another area we're focusing on, is the food services industry. Where we're providing the large volumes of Jamaican food ingredients for you to have that authentic flavor. Because, you know, some people say it's a Jamaican patty and it's a Cornish pasty.
Pasta. Now, that's very interesting. So therefore, JAMPRO, and you've been there for a while, and you've been immersed, we have been into forums together. You are the oiling mechanism that makes it work, that synchronizes the UK and Jamaica and the UK.
Well, as long as it results in a benefit to the Jamaican economy.
The economy,
The economy of Jamaica. I work for the people of Jamaica, for taxpayers of Jamaica. And so we need to be able to benefit those taxpayers in Jamaica. So if it results in the export of a Jamaican good or service, JAMPRO is there for you. If it results in an investment coming into Jamaica that generates jobs in Jamaica, Jampro is a person for you. Now we collaborate for the other ends, for the companies in the UK that want to sell goods to Jamaica. Even Jamaican diaspora people that want to sell goods into Jamaica. We collaborate with the UK government's Department for Business and Trade.
Right. So you bridge those gaps.
And their mandate is to help British exports to Jamaica. We're not here to help British exports come to Jamaica and foreign currency leave Jamaica to England. It's the other way around. But we understand trade goes both ways. And so the Department for Business and Trade also used to be known as Department for International Trade, which is the UK government equivalent of Jampro. They will do that element of it. And I can happily say to you that...
Is it an announcement?
Well, I mean, it's not a big announcement, it's a
breaking news.
You can find it on the UK government website. But Jamaica has a trade surplus with the UK. One of the few countries in the world where Jamaica exports more to the UK than imports into Jamaica from the UK.
You know, I want to stop you there.
Trade surplus, that's a very big thing, you know.
That's a powerful thing. I want to say this, and this is something I've been saying a lot. It's about even clarity with information which comes out of Jamaica, which talks about Jamaica. Depending on who you speak to and who you listen to, sometimes you think Jamaica gone to the dogs. But when you listen to what you're saying now, and I've been speaking to different persons, I say, hang on a second, we got to really balance this properly. Because there's a positive plus which is happening, trade surplus. Do people know about that?
I mean, what the Americans say, fact check.
Fact check.
Fact check. You need to fact check everything you say. You know, because it is out there. The information is there. And certainly with AI these days, you can find it and then corroborate it and make sure it's correct. But Jamaica is in a special place. You have to appreciate that, you know, 10 years ago, 2013, economically we're on a precipice. We had a debt to GDP ratio of over 130%. It was absolutely unsustainable. But both within the public sector, both political parties came together and said we have to resolve this. The public sector came together and said we had to resolve it, and the private sector, and jointly they implemented policies which corrected that. And frankly speaking, a bunch of that debt, I don't know the exact number, but over 90% of that debt was held by Jamaican financial institutions. And they said, well, we're going to take a haircut on this in order to ensure that we don't bankrupt the country. And through sensible policies, that debt to GDP ratio by as we went into COVID, was down to 80%. Yesterday morning on the radio, do you know what the UK government debt to GDP ratio was? Over 100%. It's a basket case compared to us. In fact, we have lessons we can teach the UK government for the economy.
Well, that's great. Well, let's hope that you tell some of the lessons today at your conference and your presentation. What are you expecting to get out of, and what do you expect to impart today quickly?
What I'm hoping, it's very simple. What I'm hoping is that the entrepreneurs in the room will recognize that you don't have to be a big multinational corporation to do business in Jamaica. You know, you can come in. We have testimonials from new companies that just been around for 2-3 years, and they're also going to tell them how it is possible to do. You know, and I'm going to say that, you know, if you're looking to buy goods from Jamaica, or you're looking to invest in a bit of real estate on the island, or your family farm, or, you know, anything like that that would generate jobs on the island, come and talk to us, and we will guide you. We'll give you the information we have. We'll share with you whatever knowledge we have to help your experience doing business in Jamaica as smooth as possible.
Fantastic. Lawrence, I want to thank you so much for coming. And how people can get hold of you? Contact the High Commission?
No, straight through to Jampro. DoBusinessJamaica.com. The website is there. The links to us are there. We have a contact center that's open 24 hours a day, and they will take your inquiry. They'll forward it on to us in the London office, and we will reach out to you, and we'll have that meeting with you within that week.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lawrence Jones, Regional Manager, Jampro European Regional Office, and at the Jamaica UK Diaspora Conference. I'm going to thank him for coming on. And the next session, which is coming up, is going to be the Windrush 75, which is going to cut into the power of the Jamaican diaspora, leaving a lasting legacy in Britain. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to make a start because, as you can tell, we're behind time, and we wanted to have the Windrush conversation. This conversation was meant to happen this morning, but we have a small panel, and they know that they have to wrap in about 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to let them get on with it so that we can keep the program moving. So I'd like to introduce you to our panel discussion on the Windrush 75. The big question we're asking is, or rather the statement is around the power of the Jamaican diaspora leaving a lasting legacy in Britain. Our moderator is Paulette Lewis, MBE. She's the president of the Caribbean Nurses and Midwives Association. And of course, that's one of many hats that Paulette wears. She's been a servant to the diaspora, especially in healthcare. And we're really pleased to have her here with her panelists, Merlita Bryan and Jacqueline Mackenzie. So I'll hand over proceedings to Paulette. Thank you. In keeping with the previous session, it will be interactive, so the microphones will be open to you, the audience, shortly. Thank you. Paulette?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. So pleased to see so many of you here this afternoon. I would say it's going to be quite interactive, and we will take questions. But before we begin, I will definitely have a conversation with my two esteemed guests here today. You've been introduced to Jacqueline and Melita already. So as you know, we have been celebrating Windrush 75 for the last week or more. And it's a very important milestone which we just cannot forget. Now, Carmelita is a former councillor of Nottingham Council and a Lord Mayor. So in your role, I know you've been here for many years, what do you think is the significance and what have your contribution been around the Windrush period?
Thank you for that. My contribution, I came here as a very young child, and I must say I didn't know a great deal about the Windrush generations until later years. But I suppose I've seen my parents work in the industries. They've worked very hard, within these industries that was around at the time. They've contributed to the economy of Nottingham. And of course, they're no longer with us, but I suppose I'm carrying on the contribution, and my children are carrying on the contribution. I've been, like I said, I've been a trade union officer, which looks up to people within the workplace as we're. And I was also a councillor, so that's serving the community as well. So from that standpoint, I think I've done quite a bit within the community to carry on what my, for want of a better word, parents have done while they've been in this country since 1960. And they've worked really, really hard, to help the economy.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's really important. We have touched on Windrush this morning, but it's really important that we just do not forget the legacy of the Windrush generation. It's really very important, third and fourth generation. So my next guest here is Jacqueline, and she's from the human rights lawyer, you are. So your contribution around Windrush 75, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's two things are different in terms of what are my thoughts and then what's my contribution. So I'm a lawyer, I'm a partner at City Law Firm where I'm the head of immigration, and I've been very involved in cases around the Windrush scandal. So that's in terms of getting status documentation for people and also getting compensation. And I think everyone knows the problems with the compensation scheme, and there are also problems with the status scheme. So my thoughts, and the topic that I was asked to look at was looking at the Windrush generation from a Jamaican perspective and what it means for Windrush 75. And I'm in an interesting position because I'm half Grenadian, half Jamaican. My father came from Jamaica in 1951 on board the HMV Georgic, so just a couple of years after the Windrush boat. And so growing up, because he was one of 15 and a lot of them came, Jamaica was all I knew, really, the Jamaican culture, the food, the music, and so on. And the Grenadian side of me was a tiny community, but of course the Notting Hill Carnival, Calypso and Roti and that sort of thing. So I had this sort of dual heritage upbringing, but Jamaica was definitely more dominant. And Interestingly, when my parents were getting married, both sides of the family opposed their marriage. The Grenadians, because my father was a labourer and my mother had a bit of an education. The Jamaicans, because my mother was from a small island. And so that was how their life started, and I came into it. And, you know, Grenadians still have this kind of, oh, I didn't know you were Jamaican, but you don't sound rough, you don't sound, you know, I get that still. Not as much, but there is still this thing out there that, you know, Jamaica is a society of crime and rough people and so on. And so I've been forced to become the defender in my own circle of the Jamaican community. And I say to them, look at what Jamaicans have done to Britain. Jamaica has banks, it has intellectuals, it has writers, it has a weekly newspaper. It produced the first black woman MP. It's got 2 women MPs in Parliament right now. It's got people in the House of Lords. It's got scientists, doctors. It's got institutions and organizations that no other Caribbean island has. And if we're looking at legacy, the legacy of Windrush, those 492 people on that Windrush boat that came from the Caribbean, with them predominantly being Jamaican, though not exclusively so, we rest on their shoulders.
And that's really very important for people to remember that it was on the Jamaicans. Yes, very important. Those who came in 1948, remember, they called and we came. And we have been working to build this country, right? So we must celebrate or commemorate, some people say. So just listen to what you have said. How can you contribute to the future? What do you, I'm going to ask you a question. You can always come with your questions in a minute, because I think you're really dying to ask some questions. But what do you think you can contribute in terms of the stories that are being told? Because I think one of the things, we've heard many stories about the Windrush, the experiences and we've had. But one of the things we're saying, have we learned from 1948? Why are we still experiencing?
Okay, just pulling away from the conference again, where they're talking about the Windrush. But of course, you know, I'm here scouting the grounds, finding different persons, very important person, to have a discussion at the Jamaica Diaspora UK conference, Brunel University. Chef Colin Brown,
yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, sir.
Fantastic. I'm glad that I found you. And ladies and gentlemen, Chef Colin Brown is a development senior executive of the Turtle Bay Restaurant Group and a restaurateur.
Yes, sir.
It's great. I've always seen your food, and I'll be confessed that I've not actually tasted it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll taste it eventually. But what's your purpose here at the conference today?
Well, Lawrence is a good friend of mine,
yes,
from Jump Pro, and actually he was my best man. And he said to me, they're putting on this wonderful stuff for the Windrush.
Yes.
Which my grandmother's brother was a part of this.
Yes.
He came over, you know what I mean? So I just like, it's a good thing to just come and support, you know?
Yeah, and it's important because the conference about the legacy and the whole thing about Windrush. What's your take on the Windrush? I would like to say the essence of the Windrush, because sometimes the scandal sometimes can overshadow it, the positive aspect. But what's your take on the Windrush and 75 years? Yeah.
Well, the Windrush is why all of us is here right now.
Yes.
So we're going to look at it from a positive standpoint. So it's what we do now, the next generation, that's going to, you know, make an impact. Perhaps back in the days, our generation, our parents, our grandparents, didn't have the opportunity that we have.
Yes.
So it's very important that we make this work for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of my motivation towards what I do.
Yes.
Right now, maybe there were restriction, but they was restricted maybe by race or creed or whatever. You know what I mean? So they stopped them. But now that things is open up, it gave us all the opportunity to go out there and get things done properly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anything I can do to support to make it a little bit, you know.
So would you say that we, the black people, descendants of Windrush generation, amidst the scandal and everything, we have arrived?
We definitely, because look, my descendants are original Maroon. I'm from Trelawney.
Yes.
Kodjo town.
Yes.
You know, your Kodjo is the brother of Nani.
Yes.
Because Queen Nani, who, you know, she took the fight to the British.
Yes, yes.
You know? So my work, what I do in England, is bringing that cultural side of it, cooking,
yes,
to the UK, right? And I'm very fortunate to have it in Turtle Bay.
Yes.
So removing all the bad bits from food, cooking the way how the indigenous people used to cook back in the days.
Yes.
You know, so that's what I manage, out of respect for my ancestors, to get in a chain like Turtle Bay, which, you know, over millions of people eating this here, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm doing what I can do from my side, and if all of us look at it from that perspective and say, okay, your grandparents would be proud to know that this is the food that they used to grow, and now it's on the high street in England, like in the entire UK.
Yes.
You understand? Wales, all over. You know what I mean? So we're fighting with this now, just making sure, like, you know.
It's interesting because I had Lawrence earlier today, and he's bridging the gap with Jampro, getting it all together. Yourself in the cooking area, bring it all together, at the same time promoting Jamaica to a bigger level.
100%.
You know, the conference today we are part of is promoting entrepreneurship and investing in Jamaica strategies and best practices. The session is to shed light on entrepreneurial spirit, business acumen, demonstrated by many Jamaican immigrants who have established successful enterprise, created employment opportunities. Now, we always hear about Chef Colin Brown. Break it down, who is Chef Colin Brown?
Well, it's very simple.
Yes.
As I said, I'm from Ulster Spring, Trelawney.
Ulster, you're born in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Original?
Full blood.
I'm straight out of Ochi, you know?
Full blood. So you have to understand, once you come from Trelawney, you're a farmer first.
Yes.
So I grew up every day seeing everybody going to bush.
Yes.
Bush is ground, farm, actually, you have to say it properly. You know what I mean? So I know rum, I know yam, because they have long pan sugar factories where all the
So you supply Usain Bolt? Yam?
Yeah.
With yam?
Yeah, because we're up on the mountain. You understand what I'm saying? So we grow we don't even plant it, we sow it. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine growing up this way. So all my life, I've been doing farming. And so I understand the produce more than most people. I know how everything is grown. I know seasonal stuff. I know, so basically, and then I'm the firstborn for my mother. So, you know, once you're the firstborn, you need to learn to wash, cook, and clean. So I've been doing it for years because I have two brothers after. Now, by the time I reach the age where I need to go to high school and choose vocational area, obviously you're going to choose food because you're good at it. And you take the food from the farm and you turn it into spectacular things, you know. Now, I took it to England, you know, and now, like, we've grown. I get rosettes and all this kind of stuff. For this, you know, by just sticking to what I know, you understand what I'm trying? Not to adapt things from Europe. Yeah. Because, like, I have a pastry chef who was telling me, he come to me and he's making some fantastic dessert. And I'm like, and he, in his head, he's arrived. And I'm like, you haven't, because you cannot beat the French at this. They create this. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So you need to go back home, sit down with your granny, ask her what she like when she was a girl.
That's the base.
Yeah. And ask her what her granny like. Then you come back in the kitchen and recreate this. And you know, so this is what I'm trying to, and then the guy, right now, the guy is like a monster. You know what I mean? He's making dessert without butter, without cream, without, you understand what I'm saying? Now the French is watching him. You understand? So this is what we need to start look at, like, how do we create this impact in the world?
I know time is running short, but diabetic awareness. It is something the Caribbean, and we love these food. I was diagnosed pre-diabetic and I had to stop cutting down my cake and everything. But what you're trying to say is that with the ingredients that you put in,
you won't have it.
You can enjoy these things.
You won't have it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that prevalent back in the days.
Yes.
You understand? We have adapted just to stop farmers from everything, like if the farmer chop himself. Or a complication for a baby. But because people used to eat, the problem with diabetic stuff is the processed food. Yes. Once you start to process stuff, there's things they're putting in food that are not supposed to be in food. Because you need shelf life, you need this, you know what I mean? But we don't have this problem in Jamaica. Well, you see, we're not like, there's a lot of people who's not been educated about this. You understand? If you go into the institution in Jamaica, they teach you, what they call it, classically trained food. That means it's from Europe and the States, which basically we have our own, everything that cures you is in Jamaica, on the ground.
So it's how you put it together.
You have to.
So there's a lot of education, training needs to be done.
In Jamaica.
And is that the reason why you also is linking now with Turtle Bay to bring in.
Yes, it's really relevant because now I have the opportunity to create a very clean food on the high street. Like I can tell you, I have zero fear because I understand it to the teeth. Yes. And I know whatever I put in this restaurant, 100% work. Not for just us, but for people to build in your immune system to make you understand what I'm saying? Because I remove all badness from the food and just positive health.
Well, listen, we'll have to have a proper sit down with you where I don't grab you off the street and sit down because I believe this is so important, and especially with the Windrush generation regarding today, there's so much that we can do as much as possible. Sir Colin Brown.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to that powerful interview with Chef Colin Brown. We're going to go back to the show at the Diaspora Conference in Brunel University. Thank you.
75 years on, and I think, you know, we ourselves have to find some measures to try and address some of these things. As the community becomes dissipated and becomes less Jamaican and less Caribbean, that's going to be more difficult to do because there is already a generation that doesn't identify themselves as anything. In fact, a couple of nights ago, I'm curating the Voices of Windrush Festival, and one of the discussions that we had the other night was about race identity and culture. How do people perceive themselves, and what will future generations perceive themselves as? But they will still be black. I mean, they may be less so. They might. I mean, there's a time, isn't there? And they reckon in 50 years' time everyone's going to be brown anyway. But you know, the big question is about now, because we can't perceive what the future is. But right now, we've got these really poor statistical outcomes. And what are we doing about them? We're all operating in our silos. We've all got these little tiny organizations, and there's Jamaica Association, there's Jamaica Association, that, Jamaica Association, Barbados, there's Grenada, that. And we achieve nothing. That's my sad thing. As someone that's very, very involved with the Windrush scandal, apart from the brilliant speech that was made by Andrew Holness, which led to the apology, and that was on the 18th of April 2018, because it coincided, the breaking of the scandal into the public consciousness coincided with the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting happening in London. So he made that very powerful speech, which a lot of people were surprised about, because obviously that party, the JLP, is an ally of the Conservative Party, actually, both sitting in the International Democratic Union. So that was a little bit of a surprise. However, he made that speech, and it caused Theresa May to set up the Windrush Task Force, the Windrush Scheme, and the Windrush Compensation Scheme. But since then, we're almost operating in isolation. Very, very few. Yes, there's always the story, and the stories that are in the media aren't great stories, you know, because it's just our people being paraded as destitute. Exactly. Amongst the scandal, I've had doctors, I've had maths professors, but nobody knows about that. Everybody thinks, oh, it's all these begraduate, you know, bejunk, or whatever the word, you know, sort of destitute, and mostly destitute Jamaicans who are deprived, and that is not the true story.
And that's true too. So we could go on this topic, but I can see my
Sorry,
Kevin over there giving
so
can we just take two or three questions? We're supposed to be here this morning, but we're here this afternoon. So I must give the opportunity to the crowd.
Got one here.
I can't.
Gentleman in the white shirt.
Eyes, I can't see.
It will come on. Mic 7, I think. Just keep talking. It's there. Keep talking.
They're rushing us. I said they're rushing us.
Don't turn off the mics, guys. It's someone else will do that for you. So okay, go on.
Hi, Ray Duncan. You mentioned that Jamaica is one of the only countries in the Commonwealth that need a visa to come to the UK. What would the Jamaica government or us in the diaspora need to do to change that?
Thank you.
Right.
And I like how quick you were with your question.
Very quick. Do we want to take another question?
Well, she can answer it.
Just answer that one for me.
Sorry, just to correct that, I didn't say Jamaica's the only country in the Commonwealth, because of course Canada, Australia, all the white countries in the Commonwealth don't need visas. I said it was the only country in CARICOM There were two. Guyana was the other one, but Guyana is now the richest country per capita in the world because of its oil reserves. And so as a result of that, they don't need visas. So Jamaica probably needs to find oil. But however, me first. But that's a cynical view. But the government needs to advocate. The government needs to, and they're allies. They're actual allies. The Conservative Party and the JLP Party are allies. They need to say, why are you mistreating our people? Are they having this conversation?
So, over the side.
Okay. Right, so we got another one there.
We have one person here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before I hand the mic to her, I want to direct this to the panel, because when we talk about Jamaica being the only country that needs a visa to come here, I think as Jamaicans, we also have to look inward and be very honest as to why. Because that why was not because we were model citizens as old times. It's really because we got ourselves in a state where we really gave ourselves a really bad reputation.
That's not true.
I can go back and I can think of,
no, that's not true at all. The data does not bear that out.
We're starting the discussion. I love it.
That's what the British government has said.
Well, guys, if we can go to questions, and then, who's next? So, keep it brief, please, and then the panelists can respond.
I know it's good to have a little bit disturbance sometimes for us to think outside the box. Thank you, Christine, but we'll come back to that topic. Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, the fact that we have the CARICOM in the Caribbean and all the islands are together, would that not be something that would be useful for us to have here, so that as Caribbeans here, we can combat these things together in a united way, instead of, like you said, individually, us as islands doing it. If the Caribbean have come together to do that so they can travel around and do what they need to do, can we not have something like that here where we unite with other islands?
Thank you very much for saying that, because I'm the president for the Caribbean Nurses and Midwives Association, and the reason that was set up following COVID with the inequalities of health, of coming together with the Caribbean.
Okay, we're moving away from the conference again and grabbing different persons who are playing key roles at the Jamaica Diaspora UK conference in Brunel University. And I've got Nordia Teep. She is the CEO of Integrated Diaspora Service. Hi, Nordia. How are you?
Hi, Sovereign.
Long time no see you at the Well, listen. Thank you for gracing the chair today. But the conference is a very crucial conference, and you are also a very key player in the area with promoting entrepreneurship and investing in Jamaica strategies and best practices. What's your role at the conference today, and your view? Yeah.
My role is really to chair that, which I think is a very important topic that persons ask every day. It's a part of repatriating, yes, but also how can I own a piece of the rock? How can I contribute to the social and economic development of the country?
Yes.
How do I go about investing? Yes. How do I go about starting a business? How do I understand the landscape of Jamaica in terms of investment and all these issues that oftentimes we have high-level conversations, but persons don't really get how.
Yes.
And when I'm on the ground, who is there to help me maneuver this space well?
So therefore, just like how Lawrence, when I interviewed, he was bridging the gap, being the oiling mechanism, Chef Colin Brown bringing the culinary, you're also sort of ensuring that you're moving from the thinking process, but to the action.
The action.
Action, not a bag of mouth. Action, not a bag of mouth.
Execution.
Okay. And for today, then, the session is to shed light on entrepreneurial spirit and bringing that out. But you're in the UK and you're from Jamaica. Tell me about Integrated Diaspora Service and why the Queen had a plan with you or the King that you're in the UK. I hear Jamaica want to get rid of the King, but
So we're not here to get rid of the King. And while we're on UK's ground, I want to ensure that my immigration process is okay.
King Charles, okay, you can stand down.
Yes. But integrated its own is exactly what it is. Bringing all the expertise together, the competence among our people to get us to where we want to get to. You know, so many times, a lot of us are operating in a silo.
And everybody doing different things.
Yes, everybody doing different things. But if we can draw on all the expertise and put them under one umbrella, and make it work for us as a people, then a lot of the impediments that we're experiencing to progress, building of our nation, to growth as individuals, as a people, you know, and the legacy we want to leave behind. So integrated is really just drawing on those resources,
pulling together
the gaps. For example, persons want to do business back home. So you go hear about Jampro, what Jampro does. But if somebody, for example, has a record problem, so say Burn, you came to UK and your name was spelled, your name is spelled with an E at the end, right?
No, L. Oh, it's born E. Yeah.
Born E.
Born, yeah.
But how long you're here in the UK for 20 years? And you realize how long you had E. But when you try to do something in Jamaica, you realize the NE is missing.
Well, actually, I can tell you, I was spelling my name for a while, S-I-L, until we finally check her birth certificate. It is S-Y-L. My sister's name was being spelled Claudine. We checked her birth certificate. It was Claudine. My brother was Sean and S-E-A-N. So therefore, that's the whole thing. Everybody realized after a while, hang on a second.
There's a difficulty.
Yes.
And people might see these things as minor.
Yeah.
But when you want to access, when your grandfather has lands back home that belongs to his great-grandchildren and they can't access it or get their names on the title because of ill spelling of names, that becomes problematic. We can't pass on because of these gaps. And those are the gaps that Integrated Diaspora Services work hard every day to fill, to address, have those records corrected, those who want to purchase property. You don't want to have your call Tom, lawyer. You have to go over there for the surveyor. You have to go for the evaluator. You have to call the phone.
So you take the battering?
We take the battering and we make it a one-stop shop solution.
So what are some of the services then that you offer then?
So some of the services are, we assist with naturalization. We assist with the TRN on my favorite because it's not just a 9-digit number. It is access to accounts. It's access to business.
It is also was on the driver's license as well.
It's also on driver's license, but it doesn't replace it.
Okay, mine
So if you're in the UK and you've never been to Jamaica, or you lived in Jamaica and you come up with your driver's license, there are persons actually with driver's licenses that don't have a TRN. So people must know there are persons with a long-time driver's license that never had a TRN. You cannot do business in Jamaica without a tax registration number. You want to repatriate, you need a TRN. You know, so that is just one. Birth records, we facilitate that. Property. We have a one-stop shop solution providing both.
A lot of people have properties, but they haven't formalized it legal and stuff like
Residential property, you want to start a business.
So you got lawyers that you link with down in Jamaica.
That we link with. As I said, an integration.
And therefore, on your panel, of course, these are trusted persons.
These are trusted persons.
So when persons go down there, it's not a beachfront they see, but they see an actual house.
So we actually go, one of our services actually go and visit these properties to ensure it's not a banana tree or no tree at all. To ensure that, and we had an experience the other day briefly that somebody was buying a property and on the website, they gave a beautiful view. When we actually visited the property, for this person who is overseas, the view that they showed, when you enter the house, the back, you can't see it. You can't see that view any at all.
So it's a scam?
I wouldn't say it's a scam.
Shopping?
It's a selling point.
A selling point, okay. Invitation to treat.
It's a selling point. It's a selling point. But we want to give our people truth.
And what else?
So property one-stop shop. So we do the lawyer. We get you pre-qualified because we work closely with institutions like Victor Mutual and JN. We do police reports. We do deed polls. We facilitate all that. So it must be known.
You do passports?
Yes, we facilitate those.
The people want a passport, man.
Passports and citizenship. Of course, we don't replace the high commissions or PICA. We work closely with these organizations.
Listen, you need to go and talk to them because lots of Jamaicans want their passport. I'm just telling you that.
Well,
but I know you know.
I put it out there that we're working close with PICA to help to rectify some of the issues that have happened.
I'm just saying it because they're going to say, Silburn is going to say something. So I'm saying it that Nordia TEEP is on it.
Yes, and please, I will publicly say for those who have not heard, they can reach out to me or reach out to you, and I will assist in having it addressed. We do have persons who we have assisted working close with PICA because a lot of times, and for those who may have, the information you gave in terms of contact, it's not working anymore. PICA may be trying to contact you. And can't get to you because there may be a document outstanding.
Well, that's wonderful. And finally, what you want to get out of this session, which you're going to moderate shortly, what is it that you want to get out of it for Jamaica?
Personally, I would love persons to understand that, yes, we still have a beautiful and powerful investment landscape in Jamaica that the diaspora need to tap into. Yes. And I think it has been too long that other persons stay one side and say who is coming to our country and taking the rock. But
diaspora need to tap
diaspora need to be aggressive and intentional about capitalizing on the opportunities that are present or will be presented today.
Yeah. The diaspora need to be aggressive and intentional. I want to grab those words, aggressive and intentional. And that's very important because I say this all the while, depending on who you're listening to, you know, checks at Jamaica gone to the dogs.
Right.
And then you listen to Nordi, you listen to Delano Siwa, you listen to Lauren. You say, hang on a second, something is not right here, man. I'm hearing different sides here. Let's make sure we get into this before the Spanish and everybody buy out Jamaica. Because you're saying that there's something powerful happening.
Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
It is.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Nordia, enjoy your session.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Integrated diaspora, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to cut back to the conference now. Boom.
One more phone them.
Mike.
was voted twice by Bloomberg, not by Jamaicans, but by big Bloomberg, as the #1 performing stock market in Jamaica in 2015 and 2018. So let me step back. Those investors who invested in Jamaican stocks over the past 40 years or the past 50 years would have done as well as the persons who invested in real estate in the UK over the past 50 years. The Jamaican stock market has survived the oil crisis of the 1970s, democratic socialism, structural adjustment, Hurricane Gilbert, FinSac, the international debt crisis, debt exchange 1, 2, 3, and would have delivered amazing results over that period of time. And one of the things that Courtney said before is that I think the measure that Courtney made was to take a look at Jamaica, get involved, but I want persons to also start to act. Don't sit around and wait for Jamaica to be sold, as we sometimes say, and we allow it to be sold. We have the opportunity to invest in Jamaican companies, whether it be a company that's currently listed, companies that are coming to market that are seeking to raise capital. So I think we have to say, well, how else can we be impactful? And another way to be impactful is support some of these companies as they raise capital to list on the stock exchange. So to answer your question now in terms of the role that VM can play, so we all know that that we provide mortgages. So for those of us who want a vacation home in Jamaica, Leighton's office, Leighton, want to wave your hand? Our rep offices do that business quite well. However, for those of us who want to invest in Jamaican stocks, that's VM Wealth Management. For those of us who want to buy bonds in Jamaica issued by Jamaican companies, again, that's VM Wealth Management as a part of the group. Companies in Jamaica that want to raise capital, VM Wealth Management, we can raise debt or we can raise equity. Also, let me go one step further. Fast-growing, well-run, properly structured companies in the UK can list on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So companies in the UK, it's very hard for them to list on the LSE, right, and raise capital, very hard. But imagine any company of Jamaican origin or not can come to VM Wealth Management and say, Wes, based on my numbers and my structure, I tick all the boxes. Based on my financial performance, I've ticked all the boxes. Based on my valuation, I'm okay. Can raise capital in Jamaica land we love. So, and it's something that we have to ensure, Lawrence, happens, because when a non-Jamaican company, either from Canada or the UK or the US or from Thailand, raises money in Jamaica, that's a big deal. And certainly we are waiting for that opportunity, right? So that's my message in answering your question. So I know I put a lot of things in there, but I thought it important to kind of spread the message.
It's loaded, but very important. And what I draw from that is we have to be intentional. We can't assume or make excuses as to why we're not capitalizing on what's happening in Jamaica, but we have to be intentional. Time to stop talking and start acting. VM is outside. Nobody should leave without an account. Right, Celine? All right. So now we're going to move on to a question to Jampro. Sir Lawrence. Describe the current investment landscape in Jamaica. I think we've touched it a little bit just now, but you can expound on that a little bit. And what support does Jampro provide for diaspora investors?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I think the minister has spoken about it, Courtney has spoken about it. Jamaica is at a special place now. Since 2013, we've really cleaned up our situation. The economy is a lot.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Just streaming away from the conference, which is a very powerful area that they are discussing now, talking about entrepreneurship. However, I've got Minister Honorable Orlando Terrelong, Minister, Member of Parliament, State Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, with portfolio responsibility for the diaspora. And that is a crucial thing as we are in Brunel University. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much, man.
Fantastic.
And it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And of course, to your viewers and your listeners,
yes.
Happy Diaspora Month.
Yes.
And thank you all for having me. It's certainly it's a pleasure to be here
Yes.
in the UK in this capacity,
Yes.
representing the diaspora as the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Thank you. I'm pleased that you're here because, as one was being involved from 2004 with the late Delano Franklin, 2006 with the World Diaspora Conference. It's such a crucial thing with the partnership between Jamaicans back home and the Jamaicans here.
Yes.
And my question to you now is, what is the message that you have for Jamaicans in the diaspora, the UK, on your trip here, sir?
So the message is simply this, that the government of Jamaica considers our partners in the diaspora as, I'm being very sorry now, I'm being redirected to this camera.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So now I'm being told that we are live and I'm being redirected to the proper camera. So I was looking in the incorrect camera.
Yes.
But light moment there. But certainly, the government of Jamaica considers our diaspora to be strategic partners in the growth and development of Jamaica. So when we speak of Vision 2030, when we speak of the National Diaspora Plan, it is about improving, increasing our engagement of you, our Jamaicans living in the diaspora. I mean, whether you're living in the UK or Canada or the US or, China, any country in Africa or across Latin America and the Caribbean, we value your input, we value your opinion in local matters, in national development. And so, for my part, my mission is one of greater engagement. So whilst I've been in this office for about, I'd say just under a month now, I was already in New York, meeting with members there and, visiting the permanent mission of the United Nations, visiting the consulate there and just starting that process of engagement. And now, I've been to the UK for the last 5 days now, again, with a series of meetings, from business meetings, seeking trade and investment deals back for Jamaica, meeting with sector leaders in health and education, because the diaspora, you have contributed significantly to Jamaica's healthcare program and education program. And even when you think of even the Adopt a Clinic, project that we're doing, 3/4 of those clinics are adopted by members in the diaspora. So it is strategic engagement, strategic partnership. As a government, we want to empower you in your communities across the world, and also for you, in turn, to empower our communities in Jamaica by continuing to play a critical role in nation building.
I want to say I commend you with what you just said a while ago in regards to the partnership, and especially you mentioned something powerful, Vision 2030, which links in also with the National Diaspora Policy. The policy which was created because, of course, policies are crucial. And especially the diaspora, this is something which has been crafted over the years. How do you interlink Vision 2030 and the National Diaspora Policy?
So again, if you look at the overriding objectives, which is, capitalizing our human capital, and making sure that there is growth, development, and prosperity. You're looking at inclusion for all. The ultimate goal is to ensure that Jamaica is the choice of place, to live, raise your families, do business, invest, and also for you in the diaspora to return home. And it is by working together that we can develop these policies and take them off paper, and put them in to action, and that can only be achieved through a serious and intentional program of engagement. And as a government, we are committed to all of that, recognizing that each of us can play our role. One of the beautiful things about Jamaica is that, we have a motto, we have a pledge that says, to play our part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. And to do that, of course, we need our diaspora engagement. We need your views, your opinions to ensure a prosperous Jamaica for all Jamaicans.
One of the things I've always said is that the effective partnership between the Jamaicans in the diaspora and Jamaicans at home, it can make Jamaica very explosive in a positive sense. Because and sometimes in the diaspora we say, they're foreign, I try to tell you what to do. And then and I always say working together is so crucial, and that's why I'm glad about this whole thing. But I want to touch on something which, before we wrap up, is the Windrush, and the UK celebrating the Windrush, celebrating 75 years, which is so crucial. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I must say that the Windrush celebration 75, it has been an honor to be a part of it. I was a part of the Walk of Witness that took place from the Waterloo station to the Southwark Cathedral, and just lifting our Deputy High Commissioner Miss Taylor, and we were the first two persons to lift the anchor and to take it up to the Windrush Monument, and it was truly a historic moment for me because I felt like I was a part of history, and I sent pictures to my sons because I want them to feel a part of that history. Because what people must realize is that the Windrush generation, they left Jamaica and other parts of the Caribbean, and they contributed to the growth and development of a modern Britain. So Britain is a more diverse, culturally aware, and multi-ethnic society because of the contribution of Jamaicans and other Caribbean nationals, and that must always be celebrated. What must also be celebrated and remembered is that they persevered. That spirit of perseverance, knowing that they endured, racism and discrimination and all the horrors of prejudice, but they rose above. So ultimately, the Windrush story is a story of hope, and I'm very happy that our Jamaican nationals played a great part in the development of modern Britain and just changed the cultural landscape.
One of the things I've said, and I had a discussion with an interview I had yesterday, and it was about, to be a part of the Windrush generation, did you have to be on the Windrush Empire, the Empire Windrush, the boat? And then we work it out whereby everyone is a part of the Windrush generation because it sets the base.
Yes.
And I like what you said a while ago. They left Jamaica, but still they played a part in Jamaica in building
but
the
of
UK.
Course. Yes. Yeah. So, when you think about the NHS, the NHS is also 75 years old. That is a legacy of the Windrush generation, the generation that left in 1948. I had a distinct pleasure of meeting two members of Parliament, I met Marsha de Cordova, and I met Dawn Butler, who are from Jamaican heritage, and these are black empowered MPs, and there's also students from Saint Saviour's and St. Olave's School, and you had these young black queens, with these MPs, and it's that sort of identity politics, that reflection, to know that, yes, my grandmother or great grandmother, endured hardships, etc., but I have a place, I belong, and that's the importance of identity politics, for our young kings and our young queens.
I like what you said. I have a place, I belong, I position.
But this is home. This is home for successive generations, and yes.
Just to give you a story, Marsha and I had a major disagreement in our political discussions. We were on the other side, and she said, Silburn, you encouraged me to get into politics because of the disagreement. Never forget Satire Bar and Marsha de Cordova. But listen, I want to thank you so much for coming, and thank you for the short time that we have. And the Prime Minister knows that we have actually had a few interviews already as well, right here in the UK, and Rhoda Crawford. And I want to thank you so much, Mr. Honourable Terrelong.
No, it is my pleasure. And again, just to reaffirm our government's commitment to all our members. We have more than 800,000 Jamaicans and persons of Jamaican heritage living in the United Kingdom alone, and for us, that strategic partnership, that commitment, and it goes both ways, because even then, as a government, we continue to advocate for your rights and your freedoms to ensure that those are always respected. And I must commend the work being done by our team at the High Commission's office, which is your little place of sunshine right here in the UK, for all your consular needs and other services that you may require.
Well, the sun is still here. I think you're here with the sun.
Let's see if it's still here tomorrow when I go back.
And before you go, you can speak it in that different language to people. That's where I communicated with you. You're saying some different language. Was it French or Spanish?
Oh, I do speak Spanish and French, and you don't know the patois as well, because that's a full language, don't it? Yeah? So big up everybody, and so enough respect, because we are Jamaican and we're not let go of language, because everywhere we go, people love the language.
And
sí, pero claro, yo puedo hablar en español también, y siempre es un placer de estar aquí en Londres, en el UK, para celebrar con todos ustedes de Windrush y también para la Diaspora Conference, y pues, sí.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. The pleasure is mine. Ladies and gentlemen, Honourable Minister Terrelong is here, Junior Minister and responsibility for the Jamaica Diaspora here at this Brunel University for the Jamaica Diaspora UK conference. And now we're going to go back to the conference to continue.
When we had our first consignment of goods from Jamaica, we invested in a contract for storage space, etc. We weren't able to get any products for a whole year, so that was a big challenge. However, on the flip side, once we came out of COVID and we turned on the website, we had orders like literally the first day, and which was quite surprising for us. So during our day-to-day kind of activities, like people think like shipping things to customers is like quite simple. However, ensuring bottled drinks reach from point A to point B can be a significant challenge. And we had a lot of breakages when we started doing our business. And what I want to kind of point out here, your challenges can become your opportunities, because we found out through trial and error how to package, send goods to our customers with limited amount of breakages, which can become like a good selling point, because your customer ultimately, they don't care about your logistics. They just want their products delivered to them. So when you look at some of our reviews from our website, a lot of our customers would say how the packaging was done, their Excelsior crackers got to them, and it was recognizable. So these are some of the challenges, and I just want to say, like, your challenges can become some of your biggest opportunities as well. If you remind me some of the other questions, sorry.
You're doing such a good job. But I think you've covered most of it. The part in terms of how, if persons are here and they want to become a part of that vision that I spoke of, $1 billion vision, how do you become a supplier? How do you become, how do you access?
So at the moment, one of the challenges with like a two-way marketplace is how do you get buyers if you haven't got sellers? Or how do you get sellers if you haven't got buyers? So what we decided to do in the early stages was, okay, let's take that out of the equation and let's just become, so we're in essence the seller on our platform. So we're piloting how to take orders, how to do returns and everything. So at the moment, we're the individual supplier. So once we've figured all that out and crossed all the T's, dot all the I's, then we're going to start onboarding. So now that we've got a customer base, we can start onboarding people who've got their products, but that's going to be some way down the pipeline. We haven't quite got to that stage, so I'm just saying, just watch the space, really.
Watch the space. Thank you for that. And we do congratulate you, sir. Sir Colin, you ready for it?
100%.
All right, sir, go ahead. Tell us of your journey.
My journey. Okay, so I'm from Ulster Spring, Trelawney, son of the soil.
Yam, please.
Yes, please. We're so young down there, you know. So basically, well, you know, growing up in the mountains, you know, you're a farmer first. So you learn how to grow stuff first, you know. My family, you know, we didn't, put it this way, I didn't get to go to the colleges and the stuff like art and this stuff. My mother couldn't afford to send me, you know. So my grandmother sent me on the job training program back in the days in LaRousse. I don't know if anyone here know LaRousse. So that's where I started, right? And then when I was like 15 and a half, I remember I was in LaRousse cooking lobster. Anyone who know Mr. Hever know how dangerous this man is. You can't burn his lobster. So that's the worst thing. Well, anyway, I grew up, you know, going to Cayman Islands, and then I decided to move to the UK to study food. Come here, it was massive wake-up call, because you have to study, you have to do this, you know, you don't know where to go to anything, you know. So I started where I know. I started to sell cakes, you know. And I developed something really good, and until I managed to do so many events and start to get my restaurant. It's a long story. But the long and short is I have like 54 restaurants under my brand now. From, yeah.
Big up to LaRousse.
Yeah. He come to England, you know, and I remember one night, I had an event with Johnny Depp, this Pirates of the Caribbean. I was doing the catering, and my wife called me and said,
hold on, you realize he just said that lightly? Yeah. This is Johnny Depp, like.
Yeah. Yeah, but so my wife called me and said, there's this man in the restaurant and he refused to leave before you come. And I'm like, yeah, but I have an event, I can't just. And I'm starting to get worried because there's a man in the restaurant with my wife and he's not leaving. So I'm hurrying up to finish this catering. I was behind Buckingham Palace, they have this big place. Run home, I never reached the restaurant until 3 a.m. It was Mr. LaRose himself saying, listen, mate, I am so proud of you. I couldn't go without having a drink. You know, I was like, I was so happy. Shoo. You know, I was like, you know, that's how it was. Well, yeah, but yeah, I do a lot of these dinners. I do all the catering for Warner Brothers now. The food, I do the Fast and Furious. Next week I'm starting Venom 3. You know, because they only eat Jamaican food. Because Jamaica is the only cuisine where you can have 100% allergen-free food. The problem I'm having is getting chef in this country. So Lawrence is helping us now because Turkle Bay decided we want 50 Jamaican chefs. I have 600 chefs in the company.
I'm sure you just answered a lot of questions that were just going to come at you.
Honestly, guys, I'll tell you something. I will tell you why I'm at Turkle Bay. Look, these guys spend over 60 million creating a brand in our culture. Yes. Look at it from this side. How many people in our culture are going to take up that money and put back in our culture? Not enough. That's what I'm saying, okay? If they're going to put this food out and say this is Caribbean food, and people, like, we have restaurants from all the way up to Newcastle. We're going to open in Scotland, yeah, soon, and we have 2 in Wales. So the entire UK. I just drive them from Blackpool. I'm so tired. So let me tell you something. If you look at the demographic, it's like from 18 to 34. All right, 80% white, 60% is women. You understand what I'm saying? That means we are only 3%. Our population is 3%. So you see where the money is coming from you understand what I'm saying? So it's my responsibility to make sure, at least, if people are going to say, this is Caribbean food, it's something reputable on the high street, you know? The trick is getting the supplies that we need, like Lawrence is helping me now to get authentic stuff. I have 600 chefs, and I cannot get enough chefs from Jamaica because for the love of God, I don't know what Jamaica can do to England. You understand what I'm saying? It is, but is it? Guys, listen, I have chefs in Iran. I have chef in Iran. I have chef in Singapore. I have chef in Abu Dhabi. I have restaurants in Portugal, Dubai, Slovakia. Why can't we get anyone in England? This is a joke, you know? So, and then everyone is talking about how Turkle Bay food is not authentic. Who's going to cook it? Exactly. You understand what I'm saying? There's no one to cook it. I have 600 chefs in this company. I spend most of my time training people. It's like, and I think everybody's talking about race. The only thing that we don't teach people is our culture. You understand? And then when people understand your culture, everything disappears. You understand what I'm saying? So that's my job is to, all I know, there's tons of venture capitalists is investing so much money in our culture, and we have to just get with this and just see how can we make sure. And I'm like, people will always go and say, okay, this is not right, this don't taste like my mom's. Okay, but you can call the manager and say this. You put this negativity, the white people see it, and that's what they think. You understand what I'm saying? No, but it's true. If we're talking about building our community, we need to look at it from all aspects, you know? So we just need to look at how we are approaching things. I will not stop until I get this restaurant right, because I don't fail.
We love that. We love that.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah,
we're now open. We're going to open for questions at this time.
Yeah.
And honestly, because of time, if you keep your responses brief, that'd be great. Thank you.
Good evening.
That's number 8, mic number 8. Only the one on the mic numbers, right? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, evening everyone, yeah. I've been going to Jamaica for quite a long time and I've invested money in there, but my next project that I want to do is a solar farm. Mm-hmm. Who can help me out in the panel to get this dream realized?
Yeah, so I'll be happy to jump in right now. The timing could not be more perfect. Just 2 weeks ago, so let me back up real quick and I'll be fast, Dr. Bronca. I know you're on a time run. The Jamaican government did an integrated resource plan for the execution of converting the national grid to 50% renewables by 2050. We're only at about 12% of the source of electricity coming in is renewables. Just 2 weeks ago, we issued expressions of interest for companies to build, own, and operate 100 megawatts of solar farm power. You don't have to take all 100. You can put in a submission for 10 megs, 20 megs, 50, whatever. Before you leave here, come and talk to me. I will give you the links to the whole timeline of this EOI. All the background information can be emailed to you by Monday morning, 9 o'clock, for you to understand that. Ultimately, what you want is to identify the lot of lands in Jamaica. We'll connect you with landowners. You can then negotiate with them an option to purchase the land if you are successful in the tender process. And then I know you know where to find your solar panels and the infrastructure you need. Once you have succeeded in that tender, you get a license from the government to generate the electricity. Concurrently, we will connect you and introduce you to the Jamaica Public Service Company Limited, which you can then negotiate your power purchase agreement with and determine the feed-in tariff that you want to get paid per megawatt hour that you sell the power into. So let's rock on and do this after, okay?
If you want financing, can have a conversation after.
Yes. And to add one more, if it is that you have land and it's untitled, massive pieces of land untitled, you can come and speak to Integrated Diaspora Service as well as how to get those titles. And VM, if we have title, what's it called? There's a title, land title. Right, there's a land titling project that VM is now overseeing if you need help with that as well. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. On authentic Jamaican cuisine, why don't we put some training together for people of Caribbean descent, particularly Jamaican, let's put it that way. I know there's ways of doing it. So this is to you, Chef, and to you, Mr. Lawrence, all right. I was looking for your name.
Speaking of persons within the UK?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to train them. We need to get them trained because there's a lot of youngsters out there who are very good cooks. My son is one of them. But if he could get onto a training specifically, I mean, I've trained him, but there's only so far I can go with the cooking.
Yes, please. Okay. As you can, I go through a lot of stuff trying to get all of these things done here because if there's not a model for this country to see working, you find it's very hard to get into things. I remember once I have 3-week holiday and I went to Shoreditch College to volunteer my service and they tell me they don't do Caribbean food. They only do Asian and
How long ago was that?
That was 2013.
There you go. The landscape has changed.
2013.
It really has changed.
It put me off from going to ask them again. You know what I mean? Because if I'm going to tell you, okay, I'm going to give you 3 weeks free, and that's what you're going to say to me. You understand what I'm saying? So, and it's not like we can just create an institution because there's a massive cost of having it here. So we're going to have to do it together with somebody. So this is one of the main reasons why you see I'm with Turkey trying to get these people to help me to put all of these things together. You see?
Yeah.
I think that is something possibly that can be explored.
I think it can happen from both the UK and certainly for the Jamaican experience, having Colin as well as the Chief Executive Officer of Turtle Bay in Jamaica the other day, we want to we want to add the export of services. So of course we want to sell them the ingredients to give the authentic taste. But we also wanted to export the chef services over here. And the fact of the matter is that there's a shortage of chefs in Jamaica. You have to appreciate that all this great work that the public and private sector have done to fix the economy has resulted in one of the lowest unemployment rates in the history of Jamaica. It is the lowest at just over 6+%. Some people are saying we have a labor shortage. We have no chefs on the island. They've all gotten opportunities to work on cruise lines and hotels around the world. They're in Dubai. We have to ramp up the training. And so that is what we're doing with Heart Trust NTA. And we actually have Turtle Bay talking with them to get the criteria for the training that they need for their Turtle Bay chefs so that we can produce the chefs in Jamaica, get them the work visas, because we've spoken to the British High Commission in Kingston, and they're happy to issue the work permits once they have the certifications from Heart Trust NTA. So we're working on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a quick one. So I know there are lots of questions being asked. Just to quickly say, we're on this sort of quick fire state now because we're out of time, okay? So keep it brief. Both people asking questions and the panelists. Thank you.
I will. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. Particularly for Rez and Lawrence, perhaps for Barrington too. In terms of investing and strategies, we're talking about long-term, mid-term, short-term. Climate change, though, how are you integrating that into your investment structures? Because your agriculture, your real estate, you know, those rely heavily on nature. And small island developing states like Jamaica are suffering from climate change even now. So how do you manage that? How do I invest?
Last November, Jamaica had actually increased the standards. So we have a plan to be carbon neutral by a particular date. Forgive me, I don't have all the nuts and bolts. But we're going towards that target, and we've increased the target. Because, as you know from the Prime Minister, you may have known the Prime Minister recognized that island states are the most vulnerable in climate change. Sea levels are coming up, and that's going to mash you up, right? So we have to deal with that. From a private standpoint, solar farms, wind farms, we're moving more and more away from heavy carbon energy generation. And that will also help to offset. We want to go into more planting of trees. Right now, the Jamaica Coconut Industry Board is looking to plant out 4,000 acres of coconuts. We have another project coming on that will be a paper mill. A paper mill which the primary feedstock is not old trees that are 40 years old, but bamboo, which grows in 2 years. You can reap it and pump it into the mill to create paper pulp. The amount of bamboo that will be planted to provide into the paper mill will offset the pollution of every car in Jamaica. Yeah. So little things like that.
A question?
You wanted to say that?
This is a general question, so anyone can answer.
Can you hold on a minute? 1 minute?
I think Resworth wanted to speak.
Yeah, so VM has adopted an ESG policy. I would say we are early adopters, but a couple of things that we have done. Economic, social, and government policy. So for example, recently by NEPA, our buildings were certified, I think it's gold, in terms of, just in terms of green, in terms of, use of electricity, waste, etc. And the intention is to roll it out to other projects. Also work with the forestry department in Clarendon. There's a parcel of land that we're kind of building out for trees. So I think we're early adopters, but the intention is to integrate our ESG policy in our lending practices going forward.
Thank you.
Beautiful, yeah.
All right, next question.
Yeah, this is a general question, so anyone can answer it. And this is what advice can you give me or anyone who wants to know how to deal with the 4 big banks in this country who has a problem with transferring your money or my money to Jamaica because they see Jamaica as a high-risk country?
Thank you. Nordia, who's going to take it?
You heard the question? You heard the question?
Personal experience.
So her concern was how to deal with the big banks.
And it's through the legal...
Leighton, for VMBS here, do we have a challenge with remitting money from the UK to Jamaica?
It's not so much a challenge. What often happens is that when persons state that they're sending funds to Jamaica, there is a concern that is expressed
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
There's another situation, Sir Brown, that persons, for example, who use our portal, those who we use LASCO application for persons who pay for the services that come to integrated diaspora services. And normally there's a blockage sometimes when you come from the United States or UK. We normally tell persons that you actually have to tell your bank, give your bank authority that we're not a scam. So if you're getting any blockages, all we recommend you call your bank and you have to authorize that payment. If you allow it to go 3 times, it will be blocked, and we don't want that to happen because it'll be a red flag against transactions that come to Jamaica. We want to always be able to serve you. So just bear that in mind.
Okay, last 2 questions.
Thank you. I've had to come from over there to over here. No problem.
Long journey.
So I'm interested to hear. You spoke about unemployment being low, and I'm an entrepreneur. The big thing that I would want to know is how would I find staff from Jamaica if you have low unemployment, you have no chefs, the UK are taking your health and social care staff, they're taking all of your teachers. So where will we find staff to work in our businesses that we bring to the UK?
It depends on the area. It depends
health
on the
and
area.
social care.
Pardon?
Health and social care.
Right. So I think the good thing is that we're training, so we have so many educational institutions for teachers and healthcare workers that we're churning out over 18,000 graduates per year across all the industries. I don't have the details as to how many of the teachers, but we are, one thing Jamaica should be very, very proud of is that we are a source of intelligent, smart people. And okay, we need to straighten out our situation with the chefs so that we can have more chefs coming out, but as soon as that mechanism is in place, we will be flooding in, because again, we want the remittances. We need the remittances. So the more people you will train who go and offer their export services overseas, and the more remittances come back, better for us.
Thank you.
So there are workers on the island for you, ma'am?
Yeah. Still 6% of the people are unemployed, eh? So the whole heap of people
What age are those 6%?
6% of 3 million, whole heap of people.
Okay, is it, who's next on the question?
I had my hand up for ages.
There's one behind you as well, Andreen. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Thank you very much, panelists, for this amazing talk. My name's Denise Stevenson. I run, co-founded with my sister, Emancipated Run Crew. So we're all about helping people to move through running and other sports. If we wanted to partner with organizations in Jamaica or start something in Jamaica, because we heard this morning that well-being, etc., is very poor in Jamaica, and we know that historically that's been a problem for our ancestors, our parents, forefathers in front of us. So if we were to come and do something in Jamaica, how could we make it work? And that's financially, that's in terms of investment, that's in terms of helping us to partner with other organizations out there so that we can start a movement which is sustainable. Legacy.
What is the actual service you'd be offering?
So we help people to run.
To
so
run?
So we athletics? Active running, movement, sports and movement.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, not for mental health, for exercise.
Exercise.
So just in terms of exercise, helping people to do things like going from couch to 5K, running half marathons, running marathons, etc. So walking, and we've got cyclists and swimmers, all kinds of exercise. So how would we find investment to help us to grow this thing if we were going to partner with Jamaica? My parents, my dad is here.
I think yes, it's an investment question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So is the question, the question is seeking investment to expand your business in Jamaica, and this business is a for-profit business, right? No. So my question was...
One meeting, guys, please.
Are you seeking investments to expand your business in Jamaica? And is the business a for-profit business? Yes. Okay, sure. Yeah, man. So what I would say is you want to really connect to your ecosystem in Jamaica. So for example, do you want to be part of our incubator program or accelerator program? Don't know where you are in your business life cycle. Jamaica has quite a bit of those programs in Jamaica. That's one. Secondly, who is your target market and who can give you market access? So we can have an initial conversation based on how you plan to pitch it. I plan to pitch it to corporates, I plan to pitch it to persons who are retired, I plan to pitch it to high schools, and then we can, based on who your target market, I can then provide some references in terms of how do you best get to your target market. So for example, if you want to target pensioners, in the VM group, we have our VM Pensions Management Company. We have about 12,000 persons in our pension arrangement. That's one way of us saying, partnering with us to offer your service to our 12,000 members. If you want to go a bit more, in terms of lower age range, in terms of high schools, I mean, both on the VM base side and on the wealth management side, we have a products for schools or students. We could then partner with you to push your product to the target market. So I think we can have a conversation afterwards.
And you're planning to register in Jamaica? You're planning to register the company in Jamaica, right?
Elizabeth?
Will you register in Jamaica? So we, Integrated Diaspora Services, will talk to you on that level.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about any of the moving parts.
Okay, because of time, Andreen?
Hello, good afternoon. First, must acknowledge it's good to see so many men representing Jamaica because usually we are underrepresented. My question is for Victoria Mutual Building Society. I have a personal account, but I'm not so quite sure how to make the best of it. And when it comes on from a business point of view in terms of stock and investment, I'd like to know a little bit more about that because we do have a reputable company here in Jamaica, on the island of Jamaica, and one here in the UK that would be interested in taking up those offers.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much. So first of all, forgive me, but VM went through a name change. We're no longer Victoria Mutual, we are VM. All right, everybody hear me?
Yes.
So anybody that says Victoria Mutual, they're gonna charge them.
Get a price.
What's the new name, everybody?
What's the new name?
Sorry, what's the new name?
VM.
So
What's the new name?
VM.
What's the new name?
VM.
All right, lovely. So two quick responses, Twitter responses.
We need a price for that.
So for your savings account, if you want to maximize it, I mean there are lots of other products. There's a normal savings account, and there's a special savings product based on your objectives. I save for home, I save for retirement, I save for vacation. That's one. Secondly, about stocks and bonds, that's a much more intimate conversation. But what I say to anybody in the room, that we have a vibrant stock market in Jamaica. A number of persons really don't understand stocks. We didn't come from that culture. Our culture is mainly real estate based on what we saw our grandparents did or what our parents did. But stocks are traded across the globe for the past 100 years. It's simply part ownership in a company. If you may say, Rez and VM, we don't understand stocks, but I want an exposure to stocks. I don't know what to buy, I don't know what to sell, but I have the risk appetite to own stocks. I'm at the age where I believe that stocks will aid my portfolio. We have pool arrangements where monies are pooled with others. That's like a unit trust or a mutual fund. We offer those products, both for Jamaican stocks and for US stocks. Your monies go in. What we say that you have to think long term. Stocks do rise, stocks do fall. Sometimes stocks fall to zero, but our investment managers will ensure that we create a basket of stocks that will do well for the long term. So that's one introduction. If you want a much more detailed conversation, we can talk afterwards.
Okay, this is the last question. Keep it short and brief, please. Thank you.
Right, my question is, with the amount of people that's in our community that's unemployed, why is there such difficulty getting these chefs that you say? Because you should be able to do apprenticeship, and that's something you should look into, because there's a lot of our young people and older people who are really good cooks.
Thank you.
But they just need to have an opportunity. And where are you advertising for these people?
Well, let me address that a little bit before Chef Collins. It's not that I don't think he's looking for chefs, but there are lots of persons who don't want to become certified. And that's just it. If you don't have a certification, he cannot employ you.
To train them from their young.
Heart, for example, is basically free. And there are lots of persons who are still not taking up the opportunity.
I think she's referring to the UK.
Are you talking about the UK or ones in Jamaica?
Both.
Both.
Okay.
Well,
I think, just very quick for Jamaica, is that we we got a massive drain really fast after COVID. Carnival Cruise Lines, a lot of the cruise lines came in and lobbied for. So what we're doing is we have to retrain. Just like with the nurses and the teachers, they're leaving every year, just like nurses and teachers. And what Heart Trust, NTA, the technical institution has to do is to just speed up the training process for that. And I think if within a year and a half, we'll have a process in place where we can put as many chefs out there as needed. But they're just being poached, like the NHS poached the nurses and all of that.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry, but we are out of time. What I would say is all the gentlemen here on the panel are around, right? And we're due for a short break. So grab them in the break if you have an urgent question, but we really have to stop right there. So can you help me to thank... So thank you very much to our moderator, Nordia Teep, Therese Wirth, Lawrence, Barrington, and Chef Brown. Okay, all right. We're not having a break right now. Where you guys going? So we're gonna have the youth session next. So can the young people who aren't Malik, Leah, Mahalia, can you come down to get mic'd up, please? Along with Reverend Tracy.
Who's the chair for this one?
Malik, there he is. I hope you've been visiting the stalls. So just bear with us just another minute and then we will get going. I can see the young people are raring to go, so it should be a good session. Okay. Yay! Oops. All right. Good afternoon and thank you. You see, this is staying power. This is what the Windrush is all about, staying power, because I know it's a late afternoon. You've had a long day. And the last session was quite energizing, wasn't it, right? So everybody now is at the marketplace trying to buy property in Jamaica and set up the... So it's the last session went down really well, and I can see people are taking action, right? You go outside there, they're all down there speaking to VM and everyone else to get involved. But now it's time to talk about something that's really, really important, and it's about the next generation, young people. And the session is really about the key question on the screen. How do we pass on a Jamaican identity? How do we pass on a Jamaican identity across the generations? Because some of you have children, grandchildren, and you know, Jamaicans born in this country, I know this, define themselves across a spectrum. They're English, Black British, you know, but how do you inculcate this Jamaican identity that the Windrush generation has? So that's the question to these young people. The session is going to be led by moderator Malik Kellia, who is from Jamaica, he's a Jamaican lawyer, and he's a Chevening scholar studying, pursuing a master's here in the UK. On the panel, he has Mahalia Marsh and Leah Kayal, who are students at London School of Economics. And we're also privileged to have Reverend Rachel Tracy. She's a youth director at the NTCG West Croydon Church. So I'll hand over to Malik Kellia. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Good afternoon, everyone. That's very, 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 very low. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Now that you are around the young people, we have to do young people things. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do was lunch good, which means niggeritis set in. So let's stand, please, and stretch. All have to stand up. I have to stand up. I don't want anybody to be sleeping in my session. So just one quick stretch up. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, so you can see our key question for engagement this afternoon, and I have these bevy of beauties here with me to help us dissect and go through the discussion. But first, I want them to elevate a pitch, give us a little quick intro, and why is Windrush important to you? So start with you, Leah.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Leah. I go to the London School of Economics. I study geography with economics. I just finished my 3rd year there, so I'm finished. Thank you, graduating in July. My dissertation spoke to transnational belonging identity for us 3rd generations and beyond, particularly in London. That was a qualitative analysis, so interview-based. So yeah, that would be great to kind of bring into the discussion as well. But what Windrush means to me is kind of like my legacy, where I came from, what happened when they came here, so my grandparents and my great-grandparents' stories, and how sort of the culture is kind of within the UK, and specifically my areas and where I live and stuff like that.
Thank you. Mahalia.
Hello, my name is Mahalia Marsh. I'm studying my Masters of Sciences and Development Studies at LSE, alongside Leah as one of my peers. I'm Caribbean officer for LSE's Student Union's African Caribbean Society, where I work with young people, young Caribbean people, with engaging them with their culture and giving them a platform to present their research, because there's so much great research being done, like Leah's When the Migrant Dies paper that we showcased this week. And my research usually deals with social mobility in the Caribbean context of migration to the Western world, and more recently, counter-diasporic resettlement in the Jamaican community.
Hi everyone, yes, Rev Rach. I am first and foremost honoured to be dubbed as youth this afternoon. I'm taking it and I'm not giving it back. So yeah, I am Rachel Tracy. I am actually a maths teacher, a secondary maths teacher. I'm also a biomedical scientist, previously trained as and sometimes still work as that. Currently, I am a minister at the New Testament Church of God's West Croydon, where I work with young people across a group of 6 churches. The Windrush, what it means to me, in thinking about what we're talking about today in identity, for me, that moment where our ancestors came over, I say it like it was so long ago, but where our ancestors came over, I think that is a real point that we as youth can take our identity from. I think the things that they endured, I think the things that they went through, the character that was shown, and the fortitude that they had to live with, I think that's what I take from Windrush. I think I look at that and I see a sense of identity for myself, what stock I am made of. That's what it means to me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I have quite a distinguished panel of youth leaders and youth advocates. And so the first question I have for you ladies is, I remember watching just recently as we started to prepare for Windrush celebrations, the Honourable Minister Terlong was on, I think it was Channel 4 News, doing an interview. And his statement was, when he was asked by the interviewer about legacy, and he says, the legacy they, obviously our ancestors, have left is a culturally diverse UK. Now, you who are in the field working or with your peers, how do these descendants of Windrush understand their role as part of this culturally diverse UK? Or further, do they even understand that they have a role to play in maintaining that Jamaican heritage and legacy here?
They acknowledge that there is a richness and a resilience in the Windrush generation that we all here have lauded. But I think that because of how rich that culture is, there is maybe a feeling of deficiency within themselves. And I've been through that journey myself, and I've come around and I've felt that there are so many ways to be Jamaican and honor that legacy. But I think community is so important to the newer generation, and making sure that there are spaces where they can come together to then appreciate the diversity in those experiences. And I just think that as far as, again, the richness of the legacy, they know and they're aware of that, but they are not sure on how they are honoring that and how they can continue to honor that in the future without those spaces.
Thanks for that. You work with the youth, Rev Rich. What's your perspective on that? Do they understand their role in embracing this legacy, but also passing it on?
Young people-wise, or youth-wise, I'm not so sure. What I was thinking about when you actually initially asked this question, conversation I had with my dad. So I was actually, I'm second gen, both my parents are born in Jamaica. I used to live in Jamaica. When I was younger, I went to school in Jamaica. Just a bit of background about myself further. But my conversation I was having with my father, he told me about his experience coming to join his parents, which is obviously something that happens regularly, right? Children would come and join their parents a bit later on. That happens with my mother as well. One of the things he identified with his parents, where we speak about this legacy, was that actually he felt like they were trying to fit in. So yeah, so they came to this country and...
Okay, I'm sure you're enjoying the youth discourse and their discussions going on at present, but I'll just steer away a bit from the conference. And I've got with me the moderator and the chair of the program today, the Diaspora Conference in Brunel University, Dr. Kevin Brown, the UK North representative, Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, a man who has a lot of burden and pleasure upon himself today. What is it like today, sir?
Good, but of course, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
So there's a lot to keep an eye on. But
Yes.
so far, so good. I think the sessions we've had have been well received. They've
Yes.
been quite energetic.
Yes.
And we're in our last two sessions now.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to it coming to an end. But I think so far we've had a successful day. Minister Alonda Terrelong gave a resounding speech.
Yes. Yes.
Highlighted what he thought are the important aspects of the diaspora and our contribution to Jamaica. But he also laid out his vision for, what he wants to achieve during his term as minister.
Yes.
A lot of it was based on, a heavy focus on young people, and I think that's important.
Yes.
So that's the session that's actually happening right now,
Right.
a conversation about the next generation.
And this conference, because I found myself today when I was picking up my papers, there was a folder I had of the 2006 Jamaica Diaspora.
The first conference.
Well, yeah. And I was saying, wow, this is going for a long time. And it also had about relationship, and this one is about the legacy.
Absolutely.
With the Windrush. But what came out of it so far? You got the Windrush, you got the entrepreneurs. What has been captured so far, and the message to people at the same time, Kevin?
Well, in this conference, we wanted to, of course, celebrate 75 years of Windrush, and I think that's important. And our event, of course, is one of many events across the country.
Yes.
And we wanted to ensure that we were celebrating their achievements.
Yes.
But at the same time, we wanted to look forward. Where will we be in the next 75 years?
Yes.
We have a population of Jamaicans who are born here.
And not going back to Jamaica as well?
Not perhaps frequently, no.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure that they have that Jamaican identity and connection? And I think that's the challenge that we face. So we looked at that in the session that looked at the Windrush 75. That was a session led by Paulette Lewis, MBE. And there was a strong discourse around the contribution of the diaspora to Great Britain over the years, but also the current challenges we face, whether it be the Windrush compensation scheme and and its poor performance, you could argue, or just the whole range of issues around discrimination that still resides in the society.
Was there any talk briefly about the recent findings of over 400 persons who were sent back to the Caribbean with their mental health issues? Was there any discussion about that?
Well, not directly, but boy, isn't that such a shameful part of British history, right? That we are now being told, according to the BBC, that Jamaicans who were here in the sort of early periods of the 1960s and thereabouts, who may have had mental health challenges, were forcibly returned to the Caribbean.
Another scandal.
Definitely, perhaps one that's brewing and emerging. It's a new story that's emerged, and let's see where it goes. But certainly shameful in terms of what I've heard so far.
Can I just ask you, and just a quick one. We talk about the scandal with Windrush, and they're getting compensation. We talk about this one brewing, and Jackie Mackenzie saying they got to be compensation. Isn't this pointing towards the whole aspect of reparations eventually?
Well, absolutely. Look, reparations is certainly something that's on the agenda.
Yes.
We haven't perhaps focused on it.
Yes.
In this conference, but there are many out there who are lobbying for and demanding, I should say, reparations for the Atlantic slave trade.
Yes. Yes.
And in addition to that, we're also demanding an apology for slavery. Let's start there, for example. So there's a lot of discussion around reparations, and I think that perhaps it's now time for King Charles and others to look at it more seriously, because we know what has happened during Atlantic slavery, right? It has been well documented. The atrocities committed, the human rights violations are well documented.
And papers are there, evidence is there as well. In closing, what's the last bit now? I know we're on the youths now. What is left for the rest of the day, for today? Because we're gonna have a party later.
We have the youth session that's happening right now.
Yes.
After that, we're going to Jamaica. We are going to talk about constitutional reform in Jamaica, something I know you've covered on your show.
Yes.
And continues to cover. You have shared your views on it. And we are looking forward to that session. We should be joined by the chair of the Constitutional Reform Committee, Honorable Marlene Fort, and also the Vice Chair, Ambassador Rocky Mead. They will be joining virtually.
Oh, virtually, okay.
I wish they were. The only minister that's here physically is Minister Alonda Terry Long, MP, who is the Minister for the Diaspora.
I had an interview with him and said, you are responsible for me.
Absolutely. A full minister. Absolutely. A full minister. Yeah. So you are correct in saying that.
And then you're going to have Matunda Makola. It's going to be Mikhail Forster, Elizabeth Golden, and Koreide as well. Great Koreide on the discussion. Kevin, listen, thank you so much. And I know you got to run back because they're soon going to call you for the question and answer session.
Thank you.
And any last word you want to say?
No, well, first of all, thanks for joining us here, Silburn, and thanks to everyone who's attended the conference. We also have a live stream.
Yes.
And, this is our conference. And whether you participated in person or a live stream or you will watch a recording after the event, do get engaged. We have a new minister in the form of Minister Alonda Terry Long.
Yes.
He's very committed to delivering tangible outcomes for the diaspora with a focus on young people. And I'd encourage everyone to get involved. Find your local diaspora association or Caribbean association. Join, become a member, become a leader, because we need to revive and renew our institutions across the country. Get involved in the Windrush campaign for justice and keeping pressure on the government around compensation. And also, we didn't touch on it, Silburn, but Jamaica is open for business.
Well, this is what I'm picking up. I'm not that I'm picking, I know, but it is coming so much more prevalent. And they're talking about it. Minister talk about it, Lawrence Jones talk about it, even Chef Colin Brown talk about it. Everybody's talking about this business sector, which we have to touch on. And it depends on who you're listening to. Jamaica gone to the dogs or not, pending.
I have no comments on that
one. Minister Turner went into it.
But Jamaica is open for business. We have challenges like all countries, and we'll overcome them. But guess what? We need to buy Jamaica. We need to claim Jamaica. So I hope you're also making plans to invest in
Yes, definitely. I've been speaking to Berchants from Victoria Mutual as well, Rez,
Okay. Like we'll be listening out for more news on that one.
Yes. Kevin, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And we're going to cut away back to the show with the youth discussion. Thank you.
have the connection with their Jamaican friends. But as it comes down the line, my generation is dissipating and intermingling with others, so that legacy or that identity is going away. So what do you want them to do? Since they're in the room listening, tell them what you would like to see them do to help you.
I think for second generation, so my parents, it would be keeping in contact with your old friends and your old community and reaching back out so that we have peers to kind of fall back on in terms of, you know, you have those wider kin networks of like your aunties and uncles being able to teach you as well, and having that sense of a community. I think also general stuff in terms of like food and cooking and stuff like that to kind of feel connected. Also like the music and stuff like that. I think it's more so to get the feeling of it so that you can then actively engage with these policies. So that's what they can do, kind of bring it back into the home, those cultural practices. Because like, for example, my parents, they'll be like, yeah, we listen to reggae and soca all the time and calypso and stuff like that. On a Sunday, that was always happening. For me, that's never the case. We don't play that in the home. Sunday is probably the only day where it's kind of Caribbean food, and Wednesdays are like spaghetti bolognese. Sometimes it's fish and chips. So it's like you're not constantly having that sort of routine that your parents would have given to you. So there's that cut-off point. So you need to kind of go back into that sort of space and give it to us. I think that's the first step. Yeah.
Beverage?
Yeah. So actually, for those who are here, in answer to your question, that there is just making that move, that obvious move of educating those who are around you. I do, however, and this goes with what I said about rebellion, for those of us who are cognizant and are aware, it's about asking questions. I go to my dad all the time. I just want to know, you know, and so I think that where is it so much about us waiting for them to get to gear themselves up, or is it about us recognizing what gaps there are? And I think we have a responsibility to look at what happens over Windrush, look at, as I said, the fortitude. My goodness. When I was thinking about it, I came to tears. My dad said to me that my granddad, please forgive me, my granddad was a day worker and he shared a bed with a night worker. So as my granddad got up to go to work, the night worker was coming in to lay down. So what I'm saying is that we can get up and go and seek the answers that we want, but also we can, I think, after we have learned, so for example, another thing I heard from my dad was that the thing that worked for them as Jamaicans was there was a village. I think now, as second gen, what I'm looking for, I feel a personal responsibility, rally some second gens. How do we rebuild a healthy family unit and teach those around us, the family units around us, build villages so that we are once again responsible for those people. That affects communities, that affects crime, that affects so many different things. I don't think it's a case of sitting and waiting. I think it's about going and getting. Yeah.
Totally agree with Rachel. I do think there's a level of responsibility on our part to seek the information. I know for myself, I was interested in interviewing all the members of my family as some kind of archive because our history isn't something that is heavily documented. So I do think, especially with us growing up in a technological age, like we should be using those tools in order to do that. I also think taking things beyond the home, I think now we've come to a point where our communities exist very much in the private sphere, and families knowing families. I've discussed this with my own family before. We know plenty of Jamaicans, but they're my aunties and they're my uncles and those families and people I went to school with, but we don't leave our homes to then join each other. Exactly. I'm not sure if the community centres in Tottenham, for example, are still up and running and funded as they were in the 90s, but I hope there's a resurgence of that, and I hope that maybe that could come with our generation. But we will be the adults and the carriers of that torch, and I hope that that's something we can continue to do. But I do think, of course, we want to be embraced by the older generations and taught, but we also need to seek that knowledge for ourselves.
And I'm glad you all recognize that. Thank you so much, ladies. So it's really a meeting of the minds both ways, getting them to engage with you as young people and for you as young people to also actively engage them so that you can appreciate the information and pass it on. And I really like that point that you mentioned as well about documenting, because we have a problem in the region and in Jamaica where we don't document. And in this technologically fast-paced era, that we have things at the touch of a fingertip, we need to have the information documented so that persons who won't be here in the next generation can have it for the persons here to engage with and enjoy. So now I'm going to throw the floor open and engage our audience with any questions that they may have for us. Any questions for us as young people? Don't be too harsh.
Good afternoon. Thank you, panel members. Really inspiring. But for me, youth and culture is important because that's how we hold on to our identity. But for me, I'm not entirely sure if you'll be able to answer my question, because even my accent I hold on to. I've lived out of Jamaica. I mean, lived in the UK more than I've lived in Jamaica. So my question really, let me get to the point. Because Marcus Garvey talked about our roots. And we have young saplings, and if you don't nurture those roots, that's how we lose them. We're now focusing on our youth, where we're talking from 18. I've got a proposition. Can we revisit that and look at 13 onwards? Because we're missing a big part, because by the time somebody gets to 18, and you're going to want to ground them, you've lost them, and we are at risk. So I am putting forward a proposed solution, and I'm happy to pull my sleeves up and help with that, because I have young children and I'm Jamaicanly everywhere I represent. I germinate 365 days of the year. So I just want to put that out
there. Thank you for that. I see another hand on this side. She was just making a proposal, she was saying.
Yeah,
so.
okay. Yeah? Oh.
Mic number 8. Mic number 8. No, it's not.
It's on now.
No. This one's on. Hello?
Working out? Yeah. Thank you, panel. Germination, I love. And I think we need to go before 13, though. I would say that, way before 13. And that kind of leads to my question, because one of the best ways to engage with a place is to be in the place. And so both my parents are Jamaican, and my earliest memories are from going to Jamaica as a very young child. So from your perspective, I just wanted to know a bit about whether either of you had been to Jamaica, and from your peers, what you're hearing about in terms of their experiences of being on the island, because hearing about it, even if it's from our parents and our grandparents, is very different to going there and being on the rock as it is and seeing the people and smelling the smells. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are about that.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Mahalia.
I have been to Jamaica. It was a very long time ago. I was a child, and the thing is that as much as you do have a vivid experience, and I have a very vivid memory of my time in Jamaica with my granddad, it's frozen in time. I haven't been back to Jamaica in my adulthood. Going as a family of 5, very expensive to go together. And I think we know that Grace Kennedy is doing work on trying to get the youth back into Jamaica, doing work in Jamaica to reconnect them. I know the Guyanese government is working with charities to work on volunteerism with the diaspora, and I think that's an avenue to explore as well, because a lot of the affluent communities that we see in Britain, a lot of them are not Caribbean communities. So individually, yes, as adults, people might be able to afford to go, but in terms of parents, especially when we are not necessarily having these communities where we can do things like partners, we can't necessarily raise the funds to do that as a solid unit. So I would love to return to Jamaica very soon. I will do so for work now that I can support myself, but yeah, that's what I would say. I think working with state interests and personal interests to try and boost maybe like volunteerism, but from the diaspora.
Leah?
Yeah, so I went twice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're back again away from the conference, the Diaspora Conference in Brunel University, Jamaica Diaspora, UK. And I'm with my good friend, Dee Marie.
Hello, hi. Nice to meet you so very
Good. From Dee Marie Projects Limited. And we're on the last leg now for the show. Today has been a very good day, isn't it?
Yes.
With the Diaspora Conference. What did you take from it in meeting all the different people?
You know, it was very exciting meeting all the new people and connecting with people that we work with in the diaspora. What I actually got from it is that, listen, Jamaica is now moving into a new direction.
Yes.
And they want us to engage more. They want the youths to start engaging, because once the other members of the Windrush start moving on through life and so forth, the youth need to now take
Step
over.
up to the plate.
So it is essential that, listen, the diaspora say, okay, guys, listen, this is where we are at the moment.
Yes.
It's 75 years. The next generation is coming. Let's now prepare them to move into their birthrights.
Yes.
In other words. So for me, being here, it's been a pleasure that I was invited here as a guest. And I'm just very intrigued to see what will happen and how far we'll go, you know, as a nation. And I'm excited. I'm excited.
And also being one of the producers of the Silburn Show today, I mean, we had different guests. We had like the Minister Alanda Terrelong. We had, we didn't have the Jamaica High Commissioner, but I was there because of protocol. We had Mr. Lawrence Jones from JamPro. We had Chef Colin Brown. We had different persons. What do you think? I mean, you're right. It is like we are seeing a collaborative effort or something breakthrough going on, isn't it?
Yes, there is a collaborative effort, and that is very integral, because in the past, I could see that they tried to collaborate. However, it took a lot of effort, but now people are more open. They have a lot of innovations that they want to bring into the diaspora. And the only way we could do that is if we connect and unite with each other. So, you know, it's very interesting to see the collaborations going on and where we'll go as a nation in the future.
You know, one of the things I was thinking about, a combination of my interview last night with Mr. Patrick Morrison. We're talking about the Windrush generation. When they came, they had no choice but to pull together, to band together, because they don't know where to go. No cat, no dogs, no Irish, no whatever.
Yes.
And then they bought houses up, and somewhere along the line, I believe we slipped.
It fell apart.
But somehow it's happening. It's going to happen again, isn't it?
To be honest, I have a few friends from the Windrush generation and family members, and hearing them speak about the past and how they pulled together as a family.
Yes.
That I don't see now, but I can see it happening again because of the constraints of the economy,
interest rate gone up.
The interest rate, you know, the social classes, the expertise that are now coming on board. Everybody's now looking for that sense of belonging.
Yes.
And the only way they think they can do that is to pull together, to have that unity, to keep everything ticking over and going. Yeah. So it's very important that unity to be brought back into the diaspora and also with the connection with Jamaica.
One of the topics today was promoting entrepreneurship and investing in Jamaica's strategies and best practice. Dee, what is your business? What are you promoting? What's your MO? What's your USP? What drives you? Tell me your business. Sell your business to the people.
So for me, I specialize in business support, web management and development, and also e-commerce. I also train other people in terms of starting up their businesses, support them from start to finish, and also, you know, connect with them and show them the possibilities of where we're going. So currently at the moment, we're testing out the AI systems and so forth. It's been a challenge, it's a bit scary sometimes, but I guess there is something that we will have to overcome. It depends on how much you want to interact with that. But in terms of my business on the whole, we're here to support you in terms of developing your businesses and also going forward in terms of the new generation, i.e. my generation, to help to build Jamaica as to what it needs to be, and also help to build some of that expertise back to the country.
And can I just say something? If you go to my website, www.silburn.co.uk, if you see that website there, it's Dee. Okay? If you see those flyers sometime coming up, it's Dee. Sometime you see online and I'm having my shows and somebody say, wrap up now, it's Dee. So collaborative effort, we have to work together. And sometimes it's not just about money, but as we grow together and as we build together, we win together.
That is very important.
Yeah.
Winning together, growing together, and it takes a lot to grow together.
Yes.
The dynamics can be up and down sometimes,
Yes.
but if you have enough patience and give each other the opportunity to
Yes.
learn and grow, it will come out to a good project, you know?
And you made some good contacts today for yourself.
Yesterday I made a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
I met up with some of existing partners and contacts that we had before,
Yes.
and I'm interested to see the new contacts and where we're going to go forward as a team, you know? It's all about teamwork and so forth.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dee, so much for coming on and
Thank you
also
for
for
having me.
supporting the show. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up now. And, you know, the conference is still going on. There's going to be the constitutional one. I want to get into that one, sitting there. You know, I've always been talking about that, the Constitution. And Minister Alanda Terrelong spoke about that as well. But make sure you don't go anywhere. And there's also the link where you can watch a show, the Diaspora Conference directly. Signing out, over and out. My name is Silver Sidil and Dian. And of course, with MediaNet Live, who we support all the way, making it live and real. Brunel University, Oxbridge, over and out. Thank you.
Thank you.